I had found my way into the swamps of Schoonskraeg, and I lost my steed to a tar pit. Speaking of which, I had found my own tar pit, and I'm currently sinking. I think that this is potentially my last entry. I would like to apologize. Good news, friends. Before the tar pit could claim me, a young man had plucked me out just in time. Most surprisingly he was a Conqueror by dawn. Now, the Conquerors by dawn were Schoonskraeg's military, who, from what I've heard, were almost on par with the Moose Riders of the Drown. They called themselves the Conquerors by dawn, based on a silly prophecy that goes, what was it? Oh yes. One day the sun will shine over Parodie, and everything the light touches shall be Schoonskraeg once more. Whatever. He saved my life, so I honestly don't care. Anyway, he told me that he was on his tour. Now, the tour was when high-ranking conquerors must travel the world for a year, getting into as many battles as possible, while their recorder, essentially a slave whose sole purpose was to write down the conqueror's exploits, objectively, of course, judge their progress. The young conqueror's name was Dirges, and with him was his observer, Lumiere, a rather snooty elf slave. I tried to talk to Lumiere, but he was not interested in talking to me. I heard elves were not very sociable, but Dirges was very hospitable. He had provided me some provisions, warmth from his campfire, and, most importantly, he had a story to tell me.
It was dark over the town of Wraith. A dark figure walked through the town. He was a hefty man in black clothes, with a black hood over his head. He made his way to the local tavern, their dagger and fork. The dark figure walked into the inn and looked around. There were a few people in the tavern, but those who were there were too busy drinking and talking, so they were not paying attention or paying him no mind. That was good. He needed to be discreet. He needed to protect his reputation and his people, mostly his reputation. He picked a table in a dark corner and sat down. He waited and waited. Thaddeus, an extravagantly dressed man with a bald head and black goatee, walked into the tavern. He looked around. When he found the dark figure in the corner, he smiled.
There he is. It's showtime.
The dark figure had fallen asleep, waiting for his friend.
Good morning, Mayor Gordon.
The dark figure, I mean Mayor Gordon, awoke in a panic.
What are you doing? Don't say my name.
Thaddeus chuckled.
Relax. Everyone here is more concerned with their drinks.
Mayor Gordon sneered at Thaddeus.
I still require discretion about all.
The mayor looked around, leaning towards Thaddeus. He whispered,
Problem.
Thaddeus smirked.
Your problem. It's not my problem until I'm paid.
I told you that you will get paid when the problem was taken care of.
Right. Well, I do need some incentive to keep quiet.
The mayor glared at Thaddeus as he handed him a small sack of coins.
Here.
Thaddeus took the coin purse and inspected it.
Sounds a bit light.
The mayor rolled his eyes.
You'll get a bigger purse when the job is done. Now get going.
Thaddeus shrugged.
All right.
Thaddeus stood up and motioned for the mayor to follow.
Let's go.
The mayor was shocked.
What?
Don't you want me to eliminate the...
Thaddeus looked around the bar like the mayor did in a mocking fashion. He leaned towards the mayor.
Problem?
The mayor glared at Thaddeus. Thaddeus and the mayor walked on a path that led outside of the town. Thaddeus smiled at the mayor.
So, how long have you had this problem?
The mayor side-eyed Thaddeus.
I don't really know. People started disappearing. It took a while for us to start finding bodies. Well,
The mayor looked disgusted.
what was left of them.
The mayor shivered. He looked to Thaddeus.
How long have you dealt with this kind of problem?
Thaddeus rolled his eyes.
Werewolves?
The mayor looked at Thaddeus in shock.
We're far enough from town. We can speak plainly.
The mayor shrugged.
All right, fine. How long have you dealt with werewolves?
Long enough.
Thaddeus side-eyed the mayor.
What clued you into it being a werewolf? Are you a werewolf expert yourself?
We're howling after what we found. There are plenty of reports of a half-man, half-wolf creature. It doesn't take an expert to figure it out.
Fair enough.
Thaddeus looked ahead.
I think it's coming up ahead.
Thaddeus and the mayor made their way to a cave. Thaddeus stopped.
Here we are.
The mayor looked at Thaddeus in shock.
What are you doing? It will hear you.
Thaddeus turned to the mayor and smiled.
I know. I'm trying to get his attention.
The mayor started to panic.
You wanted to come out? Wait. Did you say him?
As if to answer the mayor's question, a man walked out of the cave. He was a large, muscular, hairy fellow with a beard. The only place he didn't have hair was on the top of his head. He had a big smile on his face.
Thaddeus, hello.
Thaddeus waved to the large, hairy man.
Hello, Grogus.
The mayor looked from Thaddeus to Grogus and back many times.
What's going on? Who is this?
Thaddeus and Grogus looked at each other and broke into laughter.
I'm sorry. How rude of me.
Thaddeus gestured towards Grogus.
This is Grogus. He...
The mayor was excited.
Is he going to help us with the werewolf?
A malicious smile came across Thaddeus' face.
Not quite. You see, he is the werewolf, and he's going to help me get paid.
What's up?
The mayor's excitement turned to horror as he watched Grogus change. Grogus' hair grew thicker and longer. His nails grew into black claws. His mouth grew into a large maw with razor-sharp teeth. The mayor stood paralyzed in front of Grogus as he finished his transformation into a wolf-man hybrid form. The mayor tried to plead.
No. Please. Don't.
But Grogus the wolf didn't hear the pleas. All he heard were the screams of his prey as he pounced upon it. Thaddeus could not watch Grogus' grisly work, so he turned his back as his werewolf friend finished his work.
Must you chew so loud?
Grogus was finishing up his last helping of Mayor Gordon. He looked towards Thaddeus and belched. Thaddeus sneered.
Charming.
Grogus shrugged as he changed back into his human form.
Didn't get time to work on my manners while I was living in a cave.
Thaddeus looked towards Grogus.
We need to...
Thaddeus saw that Grogus was naked.
I can't talk to you like this.
Thaddeus searched through his knapsack. He grabbed some clothes and threw them to Grogus.
Here.
Grogus put the clothes on with a sneer.
Prude.
Thaddeus rolled his eyes again.
Anyway, our next target is the city of Thox. Will you be ready in the next couple of months?
Grogus nodded as he finished getting dressed.
Yes, I know the drill.
Thaddeus glared at Grogus.
Don't get an attitude with me. I'm the reason you have access to food. Show me some respect.
Grogus sneered at Thaddeus.
Yes, master. Of course, master.
Thaddeus sneered.
Get going. I have to get back to the mayor's house and rob him blind.
Grogus started walking away.
How many jobs have we had?
Too many. I'm hoping this city job is the last one.
Me too.
The two men went their separate ways. After a few months, and it was night over the city of Thucks, a large, dark figure roamed the streets of the city. He knew he needed to find a discreet place to discuss his problem. He found a tavern, the Swamp Lily, and entered. The dark figure entered the tavern. It was full of people drinking and talking. The dark figure looked around. When he saw a table in a dark corner, he went to it immediately and sat down. There he waited and waited and waited. Thaddeus entered the tavern. He looked around and soon found the client. He smiled.
Jackpot.
Thaddeus sat across from the dark stranger.
Hello, Governor.
The dark figure, Governor, stared at Thaddeus.
Hello.
Thaddeus was taken aback by how calm the governor was, but managed to keep his charade up.
I'm here to take care of your problem.
The governor smiled.
Great.
The governor suddenly stood up.
Let's go.
Thaddeus was taken aback again, but still kept his composure.
All right, let's go.
Thaddeus and the governor were walking through the city. Thaddeus looked to the governor, who was abnormally calm. He had to break the silence.
So, how long have you had your problem?
The governor looked at Thaddeus, betraying no emotion.
It started a few months ago, after the reports in Wraith came out.
Thaddeus caught himself before he could gasp in shock. How did this guy know about Wraith? Where did the reports come from? Something was up, but Thaddeus couldn't give up the game.
Is that right? Where did you get your information?
The governor pointed forward.
This is the quickest way out of town.
The governor quickened his pace. Thaddeus followed and wondered after him. Thaddeus and the governor were walking down a path outside of the city. Thaddeus pointed up ahead.
I think we're almost there.
The governor merely nodded. Thaddeus was getting annoyed with his calm demeanor. He couldn't wait for this job to be over. Thaddeus and the governor stopped at a cave.
This is where I believe
Thaddeus' thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a fire, and a smell of cooked meat hit his nostrils. Thaddeus was confused and scared.
What's going on here?
The governor shrugged as a sly smile came across his face. Thaddeus looked puzzled. He shook his head and ran into the cave. Thaddeus entered the cave to see Grogus eating mutton next to a fire. Thaddeus was confused and enraged by the sight.
What are you doing?
Grogus stared at Thaddeus.
Eating.
Where did you get that meat?
Grogus continued to eat as he pointed his mutton to the opening of the cave. Thaddeus turned round to find the governor standing before him.
What the?
The governor smiled.
Hi.
The governor threw off his clothes and hat, revealing dark armor and a tattoo of a rising sun.
You're a Conqueror general?
The governor, Conqueror, sneered at Thaddeus.
Yes, I am.
The governor, Conqueror, unsheathed his sword.
And you?
And proceeded to stab Thaddeus.
Ha! Are dead.
Thaddeus fell to the ground. He looked up at the governor Conqueror in horror as he gurgled his last breath. as he died. The governor, Conqueror, looked towards Grogus with a smile.
How's your meat?
Grogus continued to eat as if his partner had not just been killed.
This is great. It really doesn't cost much to get me this.
The governor, Conqueror, shook his head.
No, just a few silver. Speaking of silver...
The governor, Conqueror, unsheathed a dagger and threw it towards Grogus.
Ha!
Grogus was so surprised that he was unable to react.
Huh?
The silver dagger hit Grogus between the eyes. He fell backward, dead. The governor, Conqueror, dusted off his hands.
Forgot to mention, conquerors don't make deals.
And with that, the governor, Conqueror, left.
Young Conqueror's hospitality and story, although I did find it a bit biased, but one does not disrespect one's host. Sturgis was kind enough to escort me to the swamp of the Scaling, which was on the border between Schoonskraeg and Brogue. Brogue is the home of the Minotaurs, which I was very curious to meet these cow people, I think they're called. This was just getting more exciting